In my second ultra white collar boxing match, I won, and I actually was fighting someone who was a much better boxer than I was. He was technically better, to put it simple, to make it to summarize, he was just technically a lot better. His form was a lot slicker. He was more, well, he was calmer. He seemed more composed, at least in the first round. He, his slips were super slick. I remember going in for the jab and he would just slip them. His punches came out of nowhere. He would hit me with a 1-2 and I wouldn't see them coming. He was great at going in and out of distance, and I remember in round one thinking, okay, this could be it. But I won. And I want to talk about why I won and how I won, because I believe it's actually not very uncommon. I believe that 95% of these ultra white collar boxing fights are not won by the better boxer. And I say that as someone who's fought twice, and someone who's worked at the event twice, and I've also signed up for the event another third time. I ended up dropping out, but I saw the the training again. My point is, I've seen the training and I've seen the events and I've seen who wins a lot, and every time, that 95% of the time, the winner is not the better boxer. And again, I'll explain more about that later. And it's also something I go over in my full, ultra white collar boxing preparation system, in depth. But so if we go back to the week of the fight, no, the week before the fight, because that's when you get to see who you're fighting. So we were at this bar, which is where they were going to take pictures of our face-offs with our opponent, and I was looking around at all of the people, all the people I'd been training with, and I had my suspicions of who I was going to fight. And then they call out the name. Who is that? And the guy steps up. I don't recognize him, and he looks scary. And then I go up, we have our face-off, and I find out that he's from a different boxing club, that they sent him in from a different group. So I'm like, ooh, okay, this guy looks scary. And I stalk him on social media because I want to see if I can find out, what kind of level of experience this guy has. And I find videos going years back of him practicing, martial arts kicks, in his garden back in COVID. So I realized, okay, damn it, this guy has an advantage. He's been training for longer than I have. I'd been training for a few years at that point, but not that long. He'd been training for longer. However, I also saw videos of him smoking, or pictures of him smoking. And I thought, okay, this is good. This is really good. Yes, maybe he's technically got the upper hand, but he's smoking. He cannot possibly have the stamina upper hand, because that is what my entire focus for this fight was. A little bit of backstory. I won my first fight. However, I was so gassed by the end, and I realized that if I were to take part in another fight, I would need to focus primarily on my gas tank, not so much my technical ability. Reason being, the level of boxing at these events is not that high. That is because everyone is new. Even the people who are better who are more experienced in these events are still, they'd still be beaten by probably most amateur boxers. Because boxing is a very technical sport, and to get technical, it takes years and years and years to let the muscle memory sink in. 8 weeks is not long enough. Not long enough at all to become a technical boxer. So I saw that, after my first fight, I saw, right, the level is not that high to have to worry about boxing. I mean, to focus on learning your boxing. What you should focus on is your stamina, your fighting gas tank, specifically fighting gas tank, because I've actually been in fitness all my life, yet I was, nothing could prepare me for the sort of fitness you need for a fight. It's very different from running or any other endurance sport. So again, I thought, okay, I need to focus on fitness. So I restructured my entire approach for my next fight camp. And I ended up preparing an entire system that I made for myself, which I now am giving away to anyone who wants it. And it's got video guides. It's also a fully printable workbook. But this is to track your progress and everything, and nutrition and workouts, all of that. So I created this for myself to focus on my gas tank. I thought, okay, maybe I won't be the better technical boxer in there, but whoever I go against, hopefully, even if I go against the best technical boxer in this group, they're still not going to be good enough to beat me if I have the better gas tank. They're still not going to be good enough, because this is not that level of boxing. I'm not going to go against a Mike Tyson in here. So I thought, okay, I just need to make sure I can get through round 1. And as long as I get through round 1 and my opponent is more gassed than me, then round 2 and 3 I can start upping the pace up. I mean, my opponent will gas out, I won't, and that's how I'll win. By being less exhausted. And that's exactly what happened. And by the way, that's exactly what happens 95% of the time as well. My case is not unique. So, how did the fight go? Yep, first round we fight. This is actually the round where my form was its tightest. But then he starts hitting me. I lose my form. Nerves give in a bit. My arms start going all over the place, but he's tight, he's super tight, and he's hitting me. And at this point I think to myself, okay, his hits hurt, but he's not strong enough to knock me out, I think. Of course, you can never really know that, but I felt if he were to knock me out, he'd have to get a lucky hit. It would have to be very lucky for him. So I thought, okay, I'll really let him win this round. I'll let him hit me a bit, so that hopefully he gasses out quicker, and then in round 2 I'm gonna just go crazy, and round 3 I'm gonna go crazy as well. And yeah, that's what happened. Of course I was still very tired by the end. I was very tired, but I was less tired than him. By round 3 he was so exhausted he couldn't defend himself anymore. His arm, he wasn't. It doesn't matter how slick you are if you haven't got the energy to make them to use that slickness. And that's what happened for him. He lost his energy, so all of a sudden he couldn't slip anymore. All of a sudden he was like, whoa. And I was bam, bam, bam. Yeah, my punches weren't as slick as his punches, but it didn't matter because I could hit him nonetheless because he wasn't defending himself. And that is how I won. And again, that's how most people win. And that is exactly how I won my second fight. I mean, we went the rounds and I beat someone who was better than me. And if you are thinking of, taking part in one of these events yourself, which I'm sure you are, or maybe you've already signed up, I would highly, recommend remembering this story. The 95% of the time, the fights are won not by the better boxer, but they are won by the person with the best fighting gas tank. However, when I said that in round 1, I thought, I'll just let him, beat me, I'll let him hit me around a little bit. I would not recommend doing that. The reason being because this is still a very dangerous sport. And in this video, I want to go over exactly how dangerous it is and certain things that people don't tell you about, which I think they should tell you about, and how you can prepare for these dangers.